various safeguards, but, you know, some states have complete mail-in voting now, that you don't even show up at the polls. So, yeah.
I have a question. I guess I'd like to know your thoughts on more personal forms of advocacy and communicating about political issues. I guess just to give you a little insight as to where I'm coming from, I am a political science major and a comm studies minor, so when it comes to learning about policy and kind of seeing through what are the reasons, like, yes, we have all of these voter ID laws that are being proposed, and yet there wasn't any fraud, so why would you introduce? Thoughts like that come more naturally to me than I'm finding others in the community, and it's been my approach to just stay very neutral, and I don't post about those things in public forums or anything like that.
Right.
And yet, I'm starting to think that perhaps it's also a disservice to the community to not post really great informative links, articles, discussions that, you know, it seems the least informed people are posting the least informative data.
Right.
And if I'm letting all of this terrible data be the only data, then am I shirking a duty as a good citizen to not elevate the conversation? What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, you don't get to personally partake in a lot of that.
But I used
but
to,
you very
before I
likely
was in this position.
right.
I advocated, I did a lot of work on affordable housing, and was involved in several coalitions as a volunteer. And that was before Facebook was used the way that, more so than it's used today, and Twitter didn't even exist at that point. So, but yes, I think you should. I think that would be to provide links to articles. People read. You're providing a gateway to some information. They can take it or leave it, but it's there. So again, it's not push. You're not necessarily pushing your point of view on that person or people, but saying, here's something that you should read that puts this subject into a different light, and consider it.
I tend to only do that currently in cases where I think that somebody should be more informed and know better than the stupid thing that they're linking to. Like, I expect better from you,
Right.
and here's something better, and it's not super partisan, but more gently.
Well, you gotta
Some
monitor
people
that,
I don't
you know, and
expect better from, unfortunately. I don't expect them to be thinking hard about the issue that they just posted on. But other people, I'm really surprised that they aren't thinking more critically about what they've just linked to.
Well, and I've noticed that a lot of people just forward things without really
Right.
looking at them. And it's like, did you really look at this? Did you check
I
this
think
out?
that's what the advocacy committee would say. We would, encourage you to do is if you are maybe more of an expert or a little bit more informed and you have some really great information, I think that's being an advocate, right? It's taking
Right.
something that you care about and that means something to you and sharing information with others. And I think that can be really powerful. And I know I personally, you can't be an expert about all things, but
Right.
I have friends who are certainly experts in certain fields. Whenever I see that they post something, I do take the time to read it because I know that they're doing the research that maybe I don't have time to do.
So how does this group come to its positions?
What do you mean?
You're advocating about the gap, or
Yep.
to diminish the gap.
Right.
Right. So how did you come to that?
That might be a good question. I know prior we've been doing the achievement gap for about 5 years or so, and prior to that we were doing women's rights and children.
I think we hadn't put a mission in place.
Right.
We had all of our projects were community need based, and they tended to be around women and children and literacy and nutrition, but we hadn't taken the time to be an issue mission based organization before. So we went through a series of kind of evaluations for how we could as an organization hone in on what that looked like.
Right.
And then it went for a vote before the board, the joint board, and general membership.
Question, Hannah, weren't you saying one time that you read something that our first mission is women in leadership, and then after is the achievement?
Oh, for the mission of the organization versus where our effort
think that the mission of, now I feel like I'm gonna make you test it, Junior League is promotion and development of women.
And then our issue,
And then the issue,
the issue that you chose.
the issue is,
It's to train women to be leaders.
there you go,
The
thank you.
mission
Yeah.
is that we're working on to be leaders in the community of achieving that.
Right, which is not dissimilar from the League of Women Voters, right? So, you know, we got involved in voter registration and that work very early on, just as a consequence of the passage of the 19th Amendment. But as as time has gone on, we have taken positions. We have a very formal structure, though, in terms of how those positions are taken. So we've got our national convention where we vote on issues that everybody needs to look at. Then the state takes positions, and then even within local leagues, our local leagues work a lot on local issues. So our Roseville area league just came out. The timing was kind of spooky because league is not typically on the cutting edge of things. But we had just released a report on a recent report on the police study of 5 different communities and how they were handling race profiling and how they were dealing with mentally disabled individuals, and it came out a week prior to the Linda Castile shooting. So it actually became a study that those local communities took very seriously and has initiated a lot of good new conversation about what police departments should be doing, what kind of training they need. So our local leagues have a long history of knowing their community pretty well and addressing some of the issues that they want to work on and bring to the forefront. And so that's kind of the leverage that we play off of, having this, tri-level organization. So, but it also is a challenge when you have shrinking resources. So I look out here and I see a lot of young women, which is wonderful, and that is something that the league has not done very well. We have not, a lot of our members gained their power in the second wave of feminism in the 70s, and I'm finding that they don't want to let go. They fought long and hard, and the idea of passing the torch is not an easy one. And so I'm working to change that internal culture, as well as trying to be outwardly a much more inclusive organization. And it's tough. It's really tough. And people get comfortable with what they know, right? And so I would encourage you as an organization to really be mindful of your inclusion and hospitality to other women, because it's so easy to fall into that comfort level where you all know one another and you see each other on a regular basis, and so for new people to come in, it can often be difficult.
And speaking of greater inclusion and diversity, what are some of the lessons that you've learned to be able to bring in more outside groups of people and to make a more diverse group?
Yeah, so this website curriculum that we developed, Your Vote, Your Voice, MN, we received a grant from the Joyce Foundation about a year and a half ago. And just as we received that grant, I also got turned down from one of the major foundations in the city. I had put together a grant for a substantial amount of money to do community engagement with